What's going on, everyone? My name is Jasmine. On today's episode of The Slaying Project, we're going to be talking about the 1998 murder of 18-year-old Tania Marsden. And there's been a few developments in her case over the years, but after 25 years, nobody has ever been arrested for her murder. And if you would like to see more videos on missing and murdered Indigenous people, click that subscribe button and the notification bell. Now let's get right into it.
Tania Marsden was a member of the Pinemutang First Nation, which is an Ojibwe band about 240 kilometers northwest of Winnipeg along Highway number 6. When she was younger, she lived with her parents Don and Lorna Marsden in Edmonton, Alberta. Her mother always remembers Tania as always being happy and having a wonderful smile. However, the couple divorced when Tania was 6. I am not sure which parent she lived with after this, but she became a ward of Alberta's Family and Social Services when she was 12. She stayed in numerous foster homes before being transferred to another foster home on the Lake St. Martin First Nation. This move would bring her closer to both of her parents, who were now both living in Manitoba. Tania would split her time between her foster home, her parents' homes, and Winnipeg. She was attending school in Lake St. Martin and would eventually drop out. There were limited resources to help keep her in school or to keep her from becoming homeless on the streets of Winnipeg. Sometimes when Indigenous youth move to Winnipeg from their isolated reservations, they tend to fall into dangerous situations. The city has swallowed up many Native teens who were often vulnerable from transitioning into the large city. And being a young girl on the streets, she had little options to make a living while being homeless. Tania would fall prey to a pimp who forced her to work the streets. An anonymous source has stated that Tania may have been hiding out from her pimp because she stole some gold jewelry from him. This source has said that several people warned her that he was going to shoot her if his jewelry was not returned. It is important to note that this claim has never been confirmed or denied by the Winnipeg Police Service. But she had been hiding out for a couple of months. So when she was seen for the last time on her 18th birthday on Wednesday, September 9th, 1998, she was not immediately reported as missing. That night, she met a group of friends at the Gordon Downriver Motor Hotel, located at 330 Kennedy Street. The legal age to drink in Canada is 18. So when she arrived, sometime between 9 and 10 p.m., the bartender checked her ID and Tania showed them her Indian status card. The bartender remembers that the group of girls stayed for about an hour before leaving. It was stated that they all went their own separate ways. It was later learned that Tania told her friends that she planned on working that night for a few hours after she split up with the group. She was going to her usual spot at Sargent Avenue and Spence Street. The next day, on Thursday, September 10th, 1998, Tania was supposed to meet her social worker, but she never made the appointment. Tania seemed to have dropped off the map after meeting her friends at the bar. No one had recalled seeing or speaking with her after that night. Her mother, Lorna, is said to have last seen Tania on September 7th and reported her missing 12 days later, which would be around September 19th. Tania was still homeless at this time, but not seeing or hearing from her for more than a few days was unusual. Her family was immediately worried because of her live-in situation at the time. But Tania was known to be hiding out from her pimp, so perhaps her family just gave her a few more days to check in before reporting her as missing. Time would continue to pass with no word from Tania. Her family and friends grew increasingly worried. Then every family's worst nightmare came to life. On Tuesday, September 29th, 1998, a person passing by the West Perimeter Bridge on the outskirts of Winnipeg found Tania's body partially submerged in the Assiniboine River. The water levels of the river dropped low enough to reveal Tania's body. Her hands and feet were bound and there was a concrete slab tied to one of her ankles. She was badly decomposed and there was also still a ligature tied around her neck. The time of the discovery must have been late in the evening because her body was not retrieved from the river until the next day, on Wednesday, September 30th. Her autopsy confirmed her cause of death as ligature strangulation, and it was believed she was dumped in the river the same night she was last seen. Police also believe that her killer knew the area around the bridge well because it is only accessible by a gravel road that goes under the bridge. They also think that the killer might have worked nearby. The police also went on to say that they do not think she was murdered by a quote-unquote bad date, and that she probably knew the killer from her involvement in street work. They, however, did not mention her pimp, which would not be unusual if they were trying to build a case against him. Police also had tried to connect Tania's murder to other slayings of sex workers in the city, but were unable to make any connections. They said her murder did not share any similarities with the others. Shortly after her body was found, a person found her Indian status card on a downtown sidewalk. They tried to locate the owner around the neighborhood before dropping it in a mailbox. It was then sent to the Indian Affairs Office in Ottawa and then forwarded to the Winnipeg police. When police put out a media release for the person who found the ID to come forward, they came forward and said that it was just lying on the sidewalk in plain view. The police have stated that they know Tania worked the streets for a few hours after she left her friends at the bar. So it is possible that the ID was found around Sargent Avenue and Spence Street, where Tania said she was headed. This also makes me think that Tania did indeed know her killer and knew she was in trouble when she saw them on the street. She could have been trying to send a signal by intentionally dropping her ID on the ground so it would be found and turned into someone. Then, about a year after her murder, the Winnipeg police received an anonymous letter detailing the events leading up to her murder. Along with the details of her murder, there was also a suspect named. After examination, it was concluded that the letter was truthful and possibly written by more than one person. For the police to say this, there must have been details in the letter that would only be known to the person who killed her or by someone who witnessed what happened. They believe that the person or persons who wrote this letter had some type of emotional connection to Tania, but they also may have just had a guilty conscience. Winnipeg police pleaded for the author of the letter to come forward. They said that their identity would be protected and that they are not a suspect in Tania's murder. This person has never come forward or contacted police again. On November 15, 2016, the Winnipeg police executed a search warrant at 865 Selkirk Avenue looking for any evidence to Tania's murder. It is unknown what they were looking for or what they were expecting to find 18 years after her murder. The home is located in the north end of Winnipeg, where there is a large Indigenous population. The area is also notorious for crime, drug, and gang activity. Many other young girls and women have disappeared from this area, and some have even been found murdered. Then on December 6, 2016, Project Devote, a former unit of the Winnipeg Police Service, held a press conference and informed the public of 5 persons of interest and a vehicle description that is possibly tied to at least one of them. All of these 5 people are Indigenous, and the sketches are what they appeared to look like in 1998. The police believe if they can identify these people, that they will be able to identify Tania's killer. However, they did not say if these people knew Tania or were with her the night she was last seen. Police do not know entirely what Tania was doing in her final days on Earth. They are still actively fighting for answers and seeking justice for her. If you have any information on the murder of Tania Marsden, please do not be afraid to come forward. Please help Tania's soul be at peace and help her family in their pursuit of justice.
Thank you so much for watching today's video. If you knew Tania, please share any memories of her, and I will see you in my next video.